So in this presentation, you look into the different rules of inference. That is the method of constructing valid arguments. So here, in this particular presentation, I will be discussing several rules that will be used for establishing the validity of an argument. And along with the rules, I shall mention about the concept of argument and how we can construct the argument, and also how we can say that an argument is valid. So I'll be displaying several problems, and the discussions will be given in detail in these presentations. So I'm Mrs. Archana Pradeshni, Assistant Professor, Department. Let's see the concept of argument, and what after studying the argument we'll see how to decide whether it's a valid argument or it's an invalid argument. Finally, we'll see the definition of rules of inference. Why rules of inference is required. So basically, let's consider n set of propositions p1, p2, p3, so on up till pn, and we have got another proposition. Let's say q. So then the compound proposition obtained by having the conjunction of p1 conjunction p2 conjunction p3 up till pn implies q. So this entire concept is called an argument. So where p1 p2 up till pn are called premises of the argument and q is the conclusion. So next below you see the other way of representing this argument, so in tabular form. So we can write all the propositions down below up till n proposition, and with the symbol 3 dot symbol, that is therefore symbol, we can have the conclusion. And all these set of premises, okay, these are premises, and we have got q as a conclusion. So and any argument can be written in the p conjunction form p1 conjunction p2 conjunction p3 up till pn implies q. So after studying this concept of argument, we'll see what when it is called as a valid argument. So this argument is said to be valid if whenever each of the premises p1 p2 up till pn is true, then the conclusion q is likewise true. So we can say that the argument p1 conjunction p2 conjunction p3 conjunction pn implies q is valid when p1 conjunction p2 conjunction p3 conjunction pn logically implies q. Why? Because you have told it is valid whenever each of the premises are true, then we can say conclusion q is true. So it is equal to saying conjunction of all the premises logically implies the conclusion. So, what is meant by rules of inference? Now, why it is required? So, in order to construct the validity of the arguments, in order to decide whether the argument is valid or not, so we have got certain rules of logic that can be employed to establish the validity. So, these are nothing but the rules of inference. So, in order to construct any proofs or to decide whether it is valid or not, whether the argument is valid or not, so we have got, that's why we are using rules of inference. So in the next slide you'll see different rules of inference, and and associated with this I've given several video presentations associated with this particular rules of inference. The first rules of inference. So in the first rules of inference, that is nothing but a rule of conjunctive simplification. So how does this rule state is that, let's say we have got two propositions p and q, and p and q is true. If p and q is true, then only we can say conclusion p is true. So that is equivalent to saying p conjunction q logically implies p. So coming to the next one, that is rule of disjunctive amplification. So this rule states that for any two propositions p and q, if p is true, then p or q is true. So this is a rule of disjunctive amplification. Coming to the third rule, that is rule of syllogism. This rule states that for any three propositions, if we are taking P, Q, R, if P implies Q is true and Q implies R is true, then P implies R is true. Then coming to the fourth rule, that is modus ponens, or it's called as rule of detachment. This rule says that if P is true and P implies Q is true, then Q is true. We can write it as P conjunction P implies Q logically implies Q. So fifth rule is rule of modus tollens. So if P implies Q is true and Q is false, so why? Because negation Q, right? So and Q is false, then P is false. Or we can write it in terms of argument as a P implies Q conjunction negation Q logically implies negation P. So the next rule is the rule of disjunctive syllogism. So here we are taking two propositions PQ, and if P or Q is true and P is false, then Q is true. Or in other words, P or Q conjunction negation P logically implies Q. We can write it in tabular form in this way: P or Q, then down below negation P, and then give a line, therefore Q. So the last rule is rule of contradiction. So this rule states that if negation P implies F naught implies contradiction is true, or if negation P implies contradiction is true, then P is true. Or we can say that negation P implies contradiction logically implies P. So here F naught is the contradiction, and we can also express in tabular form as negation P implies F naught and give a line, therefore P. So using these rules, we are using these rules to solve to decide whether the arguments are valid or not. So we'll see in the further discussions. We have been given a particular problem, that is, given certain statements, we are supposed to check whether it's a valid argument. So this portion comes under exactly rules of inference. Okay, this comes under rules of inference. The concept of valid argument comes under rules of inference. So in the presentations, I have given a detailed description, a detailed explanation of this valid argument. However, I'll be telling you once again, I'll be brushing up the concepts related to this valid argument. Okay, so here, what is meant by a valid argument? So let's consider propositions P, P1, P2 and so on up till Pn. Okay, and we have got another proposition, let's say Q, right? So if P1, so it's like P1 conjunction P2 conjunction Pn. So if we have got such a compound proposition such that this propositions P1 conjunction P2 conjunction P3 conjunction Pn is logically implies Q, this means that whenever these propositions are true, this is true. So valid argument means that each this portion is called as premises, okay, and this is called as a conclusion, right? So whenever each of the premises are true, then the conclusion is true. So only then it is called as a valid argument. Clear? So let me tell you once again. We call an argument as something of the form P1. Let's say we have got proposition P1, P2 up till Pn, okay, and another proposition say Q. Then the compound proposition of the form P2 conjunction P3 conjunction Pn, let's say we have got n propositions, implies Q. So this entire thing is called as an argument. Okay, this entire thing is called argument. But what is and in the argument, this portion, that is P1 conjunction P2 conjunction P3 or conjunction Pn, is called as a premises, and Q is called as a conclusion. Okay, and when do we say it is a valid argument? So the argument is said to be valid whenever each of the premises are true, then the conclusion is true. So this is meant by a valid argument. So now here I have given description about what is an argument and what is a valid argument. And next is, why do we need rules of inference? Basically, we have to establish the validity of the argument, and therefore we need the rules of inference. So you know what and all are the rules. I have given detailed description about the rules of inferences. So first rule is conjunction, that is conjunctive simplification, right? Next we have got disjunctive amplification, and next we have got rule of syllogism. We have got modus pons, we have got modus tollens, we have got disjunctive syllogism, and we have got rule of contradiction. Clear? So I'll be telling you the rules as and when I solve the problem, because I have already given description about the list of rules of inference in the presentation, my presentation. Okay, so I've just brushed up with this valid argument just to have a easier feel in order to solve this problem. Okay, we are given two statements. You can observe, if Sachin hits a century, he gets a free car. That is one statement. And next statement is Sachin gets a free car. Okay, and the conclusion is, therefore Sachin has hit a century. So now our first task is to divide the statement into set of propositions, because we need to determine the validity of the argument based on whatever propositions we state. So here we have got a proposition, let's say P. So as far as possible, see that you write the proposition in a positive sense. Okay, so let's say proposition P is Sachin hits a century. So it is very easier if you just denote it by propositions, and because your rules of inference is also based on your propositions P or Q and so on, so it is easier for us to write it in terms of proposition rather than statements. So proposition P is Sachin hits a century. So let's take proposition Q as Sachin gets a free car. Okay, Sachin gets a free car. So you can observe I am not negating any statement, I am writing it in a positive sense, right? So now, is there any other statement wherein we have not covered the proposition? We have already covered each of the statement, correct? Now, so what is the given argument tells us? What does the given argument reads? Given argument reads, if Sachin hits a century, then he gets a free car. That means the given argument is in the form, how it is? It is in the form of P implies Q, right? So if Sachin gets a century, then he gets a free car. So it is like P implies Q. So the given argument reads P implies Q. That is, if Sachin hits a century, then Sachin gets a free car. Coming to the next statement, that is Sachin gets a free car. So where do we have, which proposition states Sachin gets a free car? Proposition Q, right? So therefore, what is the conclusion? Sachin has hit a century. So it is proposition P, correct? So now we have to prove whether this is a valid argument. Check for the rules of inference. Does any rule state that P implies Q and Q logically implies P? Do we have any such rule that states P implies Q and Q logically implies P? So this is same, right? This is same as writing P implies Q. I am writing it in terms of AND notation, and Q logically implies P. Do we have any rule corresponding to this, or should we simplify any rule so that we get any rules of inference or loss? Do we have to simplify this term into negation P or Q? After simplification, do we get any rule or do we get any law? If we do not get any law, there is no use of simplification of this term.
correct? Directly you check whether we can get any rules of inferences or any laws of logic. Do we have any rules? P implies Q and P is nothing but Q as per modus pons, right? But what about P implies Q and Q? Do we have any rule corresponding to that? So we do not have any rule. If you just recall all the rules of inferences, we do not have any rule corresponding to P implies Q and Q, right? We have got several rules, that is modus pon. P implies Q and P, therefore Q. We have got this, correct? But we do not have Q. And implication is valid only in certain rules of inferences, that right? That is, this implication term appears in rule of syllogism, correct? And it appears in modus tollens, but modus tollens is P implies Q and negation Q logically implies negation P, correct? This is one modus pons rule. Okay, only in these rules this implication appears, so that's why I am just expressing in terms of implication. And along with that we have rule of contradiction, that is different, right? So we do not have any rule corresponding to this term, therefore we can say that so we can also justify in terms of truth table, is it not? So let's take, these are called as a premises and this is called as conclusion. Always premises are said to be true. So now let's assume P implies Q is 1, Q also is 1, and whenever we have got P, let's say see, since we do not have any rule, I just say that P is false. That means I am taking this to be false. The remaining premises I am taking it to be true, because premises are justified statements. We are taking it to be true. So okay, and then I am checking P implies Q and Q. So if I do this, P implies Q and Q, it is 1. So no matter whatever it is, there is a possibility that the conclusion can be false, right? Conclusion can be false whenever premises are true. Conclusion may be true or false even though premises are true, correct? So far we found that whenever P implies Q and Q is true, actually we need to get what? P also has to be true, right? See, this in turn is logically equivalent to writing in this way. What does this mean? Whenever this term is true, we need to get P as true. But what have we got here? No, we have got it false, right? Why? Because we are not getting any rules of inferences. Therefore, we can say it is not a valid argument. We have already checked. We have also checked in terms of truth table. So therefore we are not getting any rules of inferences or laws of logic. Therefore it is not a valid argument as per the rules of inferences. Clear? So coming to the next problem, we need to test the validity of the following argument. So given two statements once again, and there is a conclusion that states I will become famous. So now first task is to say what each of the propositions are. Let's denote the propositions by P and Q, and if possibility, if there are other statements, we denote it by other alphabets. So let's say proposition P is I will become famous. So this is one proposition. Okay, so let's have another proposition Q that states, so you can observe we have I will not become a musician, I will become a musician, right? So let's write it in positive terms, that is I will become a musician. So only these two propositions, right? So all the meanings are served, that is one is famous and the other is musician. Now what does the argument reads? So I can say this is an argument, right? Yeah, we have got P1 proposition, P2 proposition, and say so far therefore this is called as therefore symbol, therefore conclusion, correct? So this is a kind of an argument, but we need to test whether it's a valid argument. So how does the argument read? Let's write it in terms of propositions now. So propositions are given as P and Q. So what does the given question reads? I will become famous, that is, it is P, or I will use disjunction. I will not become a musician, that is negation Q. I will not become a musician. The next statement is I will become a musician, it is Q. Therefore I will become famous, that is we have got P. So now we need to check whether this serves any rules of inferences. So do we have any rule of inferences corresponding to this, or do we have any law of logic corresponding to this? So P or negation Q. So instead, see, in only one rule we have got, that rule is nothing but disjunctive syllogism. Only in one rule we have got or, correct? And the second rule is disjunctive amplification, that is P logically implies P or Q, correct? So only in these two rules. So but in disjunctive syllogism, what is disjunctive syllogism rule states? So you can also observe, I have also written over here, disjunctive syllogism is this one, P or Q and negation P logically implies Q. Okay, no other rules has or disjunctive, that is or connective, right? P or Q and negation P logically implies Q. P or Q and negation P logically implies Q. But what do we have over here? P or Q and negation P, it is P or negation Q and Q will give P. So this does not serve any rule, but however let's try to simplify so that we can see whether we can get a rule or not. Okay, so P or negation Q can be written as, see, if you recall this condition, that is P implies Q, which is nothing but negation P or Q, is it not? Negation P or Q. This is somewhat reverse, right? So what is Q implies P? Q implies P is negation Q or P. Negation Q or P. So couldn't I write this first term as Q implies P? So this is logically equivalent to, I must write this in terms of statements. So the previous argument is logically equivalent to this one, that is Q implies P. Okay, you just tally these two results. Q implies P and Q, therefore P. So this argument reads this term, that is Q implies P and Q, therefore P. So can I say that this is equivalent to modus pons? So what is modus pons? P and in place of P we have got Q, right? P and P implies Q logically equivalent to Q, right? This is our modus pons rule, correct? So in place of P we have got Q. Q and Q implies P logically equivalent to P. Correct. In place of Q we have got P, in place of P we have got Q. So what will be the result? Result we need to get as P. Yes, we have got it. Therefore we can say according to modus pons, this is a valid argument. This is how we need to write it in statements. So each step must be clear along with the rules. Here I have stated the rule, right? That is, we have used modus pons. Here I need to mention that this is a law of conditional, because I am turning P implies Q into negation P or Q, right? This form, correct? This is equivalent to writing this. This is somewhat a law of conditional. So I have stated the equivalent form. Clear? So lastly you need to mention which rule you have applied the latest. So this according to modus pons, this is according to modus pons we have got the result, right? That's why we need to mention that this is a valid argument. Let's take another question. So we need to test the whether the following statements given are it's a form of a valid argument. So the previous discussion I've already mentioned what is an argument, what is a valid argument, correct? So moving on, so first task is to determine what are the propositions that are given in the question. So based on the propositions that we write, we need to convert it symbolically and test whether we have got any rules of inference reduced. Okay, we have been given two statements, that is, if I study then I do not fail in the examination. Next statement is, if I do not fail in the examination, my father gives a two-wheeler vehicle to me, right, two-wheeler to me. So therefore we have this term as a conclusion. So this is a kind of argument, but in order to test whether it is a valid argument, it needs to serve rules of inferences. So now first task is to write the what and all are the propositions used. So I'll be splitting up the concepts in a different manner, that is, you need to split up the statements. So one proposition I can take is I will study, right? Or you can write I study itself, I study. Next proposition Q is, see, instead of writing I this term in a positive sense, why I am not writing this proposition in a positive sense is, so you can observe this term I do not fail in the examination appears twice, right, over here and here. So what will happen if I do that? If I take the same thing, if I write this in a positive sense, it's an indirect method of writing, right? Obviously we do not get any rules of inferences. See, you can observe these terms are same. So there could be some possibility of rule of syllogism. See, when you write these propositions, you should have all the rules of inferences in mind. So how does it appear? The rules of syllogism is something like P implies Q and then Q implies R. That is, Q appears in the opposite sides, right? So in that way, we need to see that the terms are same whenever we write the propositions. Okay, so I will be writing it in this sense only. I do not fail in the examination. This proposition Q, and next we have proposition R. One more proposition, that is, my father gives a two-wheeler to me. Do we have any other proposition left out? No. So now we need to turn this propositions as per the statements given. So it is if I study, then I do not fail in the examination. So what does the argument reads? So the argument reads, if I study. So I study was the proposition that is denoted by P. Then I do not fail in the examination. That is, P implies Q. Correct? That is your first statement. The next statement you have got, if I do not fail in the examination, then my father gives a two-wheeler to me. So it is nothing but Q, if and then. It is using if and then clause. So it is implies, right? Q implies R. So that will be your second argument. Second statement in the argument. So next following we have got the conclusion. So what is the conclusion states? If I study, then my father gives a two-wheeler to me. That is, if I study P, then my father gives you 2 minutes. So it is P implies R. So do we have any rule corresponding to this? P implies Q, Q implies R, therefore P implies R. Yes. Therefore, according to rule of syllogism, this is a valid argument. So it is a direct representation of the rule. If I used the same thing, that is, if I used Q proposition as I do not fail in the examination, you can observe this is a turning point. So whatever we write as a statement matters whenever you write it in terms of symbols like this or propositions. Okay. Therefore it is a valid argument, since we have obtained it using a rule called rule of syllogism. Okay, coming to the next problem. Let's test the validity of this question. So now let's write in terms of proposition. So let's say what is proposition Q now. Okay, so it is I study. We have got a proposition Q again, that is I will not fail in the examination, I failed in the exam. You can observe there are two different ways of explaining. I will not fail in the examination, I failed. So there is the opposite term, we do not have same terms in order to write it, right? So I will write it in the positive sense, that is I will fail, or I can say I failed in the examination. This is proposition Q. Okay, then we have proposition R. What is another proposition? I do not watch TV in the evenings. Okay, I must have watched TV in the evenings. So what will I write this as? I watch TV in the evenings. So I am writing it in a positive sense. I watch TV in the evenings. Okay. Now you can observe these propositions. I study, failed in the examination, watch TV in the evenings. So now let's turn these statements into propositions. So it will be, so what does the argument read? Therefore the argument reads, if I study, then I will not fail in the examination. So it is a form of implication, that is P implies negation Q, right? That will be your first statement. P implies negation Q. Next, if I do not watch TV in the evenings, that comes as proposition R. Negation R. If I do not watch, that is negation R. If and then form. Okay, so implies I will study. Negation R implies P. Correct? Negation R implies P. Next we have got I failed in the examination, that is it comes as proposition Q. So what is your conclusion? The conclusion it states I must have watched TV in the evenings. It's same as this particular statement, I watch TV in the evenings, right? So we have got R. So now we need to check whether we have any rules that establishes the validity of the argument, because rules of inference are used to establish the validity of argument. So whenever we want to state whether a particular argument is valid, we need to check whether we have got any rules of inference. Okay, so now we have got these this kind of statements. Now we need to check whether we can simplify any statements. Okay, so I cannot do anything with these two, but I can do something with this. Right? So do we have any rule P implies negation Q and Q, or instead of Q if we use P over here? Okay, something like if I change this into Q implies negation P and Q. So I am just writing this condition as a contrapositive, both are same, right? We have established this validity. Conditional, this is a conditional of the form P implies Q. P implies Q is logically equivalent to negation Q. Negation Q means negation of negation Q implies negation P. So this same thing is logically equivalent to writing Q implies negation P and Q. So obviously this turns out to be modus pons. Why? Because in place this is like P and, so in place of Q we are, in place of P we have got Q over here, that is P and P implies Q. Correct? This I am taking it as Q. So this is your P now. So we have got different ways here. So P and P implies Q. I am just denoting this Q by P. Why? Because in the rules of inference we have got the same notation. So P and P implies Q logically implies Q. Correct? As per modus pons. So I will transform this argument. So I can write this argument is logically equivalent to, or this argument is simplified to Okay, Q implies negation P, so you can write it as contrapositive. Negation R implies P and Q. Okay, once again I can simplify this term, that is these two I can club it and I can get the term as, what is the term? See, this is your P. Now P and P implies Q is Q. What is Q? Negation P. So when I club these two according to modus ponens, we get negation P. Okay, I will simplify these two and write it as negation P. So this argument is I can say is logically equivalent to I will simply writing these two terms as, see, this is same as Q implies negation P and Q is logically equivalent to Q. What is there in place of Q? Negation P. So you can observe that I have written the rule. So instead of P we have got Q over here. So I am repeating the same thing, that is instead of P we have got Q. So it is in the form of P and P implies Q. P and P implies Q is logically equivalent to Q. Is logically implies Q. Okay, P and P implies Q logically implies Q. It's not logically equivalent, it is logically implies Q. Okay, that is as per your modus ponens rule. Okay, so now these two lines I am simplifying it to, I am replacing these two lines with the result of these two lines. Okay, what is the result of this entire thing? Result of this is negation P. Okay, so I can write the argument is logically equivalent to, or it logically implies first I am writing this term, that is negation R implies P, then I am replacing these two terms with the result, that is negation P, right? So what have we got in the conclusion? In the conclusion we have got R, correct? We have got R. So I hope this is clear, that is this is P and P implies Q is logically implies Q. Okay, that is negation P. That's why I have written, simplified this according to modus ponens. You have to mention here, this is the rule that we have used in order to simplify this these two lines. Okay, so now once again check, could we derive at any particular rule? So I can turn this into negation P implies R and negation P, therefore R, like your P and P implies Q is R, correct? So once again I can write this argument is logically equivalent to, so your conditional is same as your contrapositive, both are logically equivalent. So contrapositive means I am reversing with negative signs, negation P implies R and negation P therefore R, correct? So this is your contrapositive. So now then you can write this is in the form of P and P implies Q. So what is P and P implies Q? It is logically implies Q, right? So what is there instead of Q here? R. P and P implies Q. Instead of Q you have got R. So in the result you need to get R. Therefore according to modus ponens, this is the modus ponens rules you have used, right? So modus ponens, the argument is valid. So this is how you need to write. So each step, whenever you simplify, please mention the rule name. Is it clear? So now next we shall move to another problem. Okay, let's move to another problem. So here we have got 3 statements. I will get grade A in this course. I will not graduate. You can observe, I will not graduate, I do not graduate, they both are same, so we need not write it in a positive sense. Next we have got I join army, I will join an army. Okay, these two are same. Okay, we have got only 3 kinds of propositions. So now let's denote the propositions. Okay, let's say proposition P is I get grade A. Proposition Q is I do not graduate. Proposition R will be I will join the army. Rest all I can write it in a positive sense. Okay. So what does the argument reads? What does the argument reads now? So it will say that I will get grade A, that is proposition P, or I will not graduate, that is proposition Q. And if I do not graduate, that is Q, then I will join the army, so it is R. So then I got grade A, that is P. Therefore I will not join the army. So negation R. So this is how the question reads. So now we need to check whether it's a valid argument. Do we get any rules of inference? Okay. Let's take this particular problem. We need to find out, given certain statements, okay, whether we can establish the validity of the arguments, right? So here we have been given I will get grade A in this course, or I will not graduate. If I do not graduate, I will join the army. I got grade A, therefore I will not join the army. So let us decide on the list of propositions. First of all, let me say proposition B is I got grade A. Okay, I will always write the propositions in a positive sense, except for some exceptions. Next proposition is, here you can observe I will not graduate. A statement is there, I do not graduate. It gives the same meaning. So it's better to retain the same kind of proposition. So let proposition Q is I do not graduate. Okay, this is proposition Q. Next, do we have proposition R? Proposition R is I will join the army. So there is only one positive notation as well as negative notation. So I will always write it in a positive sense. I will join the army. Got it? So we have written all the set of propositions as per the question. Now it's a duty to write what is the argument. So the argument reads. So what does the argument read? Write down symbolically. Okay, I will get grade A, that is P, or I do not graduate, that is Q. Got it? So it is P or Q. I will get grade A represents proposition P, or, so I will use a disjunction, or I will not graduate. So I do not graduate is proposition Q. So I have written Q. Okay, this completes the first line. Coming to the next line, if I do not graduate, then I will join the army. If I do not graduate, okay, I do not graduate represents a proposition Q. If then clause, if I do not graduate, that is proposition Q, implies I will join the army. So this I will join the army statement is denoted by proposition R. So Q implies R, right? Then I got grade A, so it represents proposition P. So what is the conclusion? Therefore I will not join the army. So it is negation R. I will not join the army. Got it? So now this argument is logically equivalent to, so I can write it as, it is logically equivalent to, so how could this be written as, so instead of seeing these two, which are 3 different propositions, I will look into similar kind of propositions, this as well as this. So let me turn this into implication so that I can bring out rule of syllogism or things like that, because rule of syllogism faster it makes the steps faster. Okay, so I'll turn this into rule of syllogism. But how? So what is P or Q? You know that conditional P implies Q is logically equivalent to negation P or Q, is it not? But we do not have negation over here, so I will replace this by negation. So this is nothing but negation of negation, is it not? Or it is P or Q, right? Negation P or Q, that is negation of negation P or Q will get you P or Q. So this P or Q can be written as negation P implies Q, and then write all other terms which are used. Okay, so next you can observe, this is a kind of syllogism. You can observe the terms are same here. It's like P implies, this looks like P implies Q and Q implies R, so which logically implies P implies R, right? But what is P according to this argument? P is negation P over here, right? And what does R represent? R is R itself, correct? So this entire two terms will be replaced by negation P implies R. So I'll be writing it in the next page. This argument is logically equivalent to negation P implies R, correct? So this is negation P implies R according to rule of syllogism, followed by P, and therefore negation R. Write it as it is, write the other terms as it is. Now I need to write here, it is by rule of syllogism. Next, whether can I simplify this term? So even though I do a contrapositive like negation R implies P in P, so I am reversing this. You know what is contrapositive, so I have written directly over here. There is no rule that satisfies this kind of argument, is it not? So this is by contrapositive, I'm reversing the conditional. But however, this looks like P implies Q and Q, right? This is the same term. P implies Q and Q is logically equivalent to, do we have any such rule wherein P implies Q and Q is there? We have negation Q, right, which is equivalent to negation P. This is as per Modest-Tollens rule. But we do not have P implies Q and Q directly. Do we have this in the set of rules? Just I will look into, I'll let you know the set of rules. I have written here for your reference. P implies Q and Q. Whatever we got in the argument is P implies Q and Q. But here in the rules of inference, we do not have P implies Q and Q. We have negation Q, right? So obviously this argument is not satisfied, right? So therefore we can say that it is not a valid argument. So there is no rule that satisfies this kind of argument. Therefore it is not a valid argument. This is what we can conclude. I hope this is clear to you, students. Next, let's see the next problem. We need to test the validity of the argument. So given here we do not have statements, we have just symbolical form of the propositions. We have proposition P, Q, R. Now we have directly we have to simplify it and then check whether there is any rule that corresponds to that and say it is a valid argument or not. Okay. So we know that P implies R, Q implies R. How could this entire argument be written as? It could be written as P implies R and Q implies R. We need to check whether it's logically equivalent to this. We need to prove this result, right? We need to have this conclusion. So let's start with this premises, okay, and then see that whether we get this conclusion. Okay. So I can say this is logically equivalent to. So I do not have any rule, or even though I do a contrapositive, I do not get anything that turns out to a rule. So I will simplify this. This is in the form of P implies Q, or it is negation P or Q. and this is negation P or Q, right? So first in the side you can just make an inference, that is this is the result that we have to get. You can go backwards. So what has to be got if this has to be satisfied? So this is in the form of P implies Q, is it not? So we have to get negation P or Q. First you have to get this and then we can get the result. So how could we get this? Let's check out. Okay, so now you can observe the connectives. Just observe the connectives. We have OR inside and outside, and we have got the term, we have got same term, that is R. So we can say there is a form of distributive law, that is, let's say it is A or B, and A, I am using the same alphabet because it represents the same R over here, right? A or B and A or C, correct? So what is A or B and A or C as per the distributive law? This is logically equivalent to A or B and C. This is logically equivalent to A or B and C, correct? So as per the distributive law. But what is A? A is R. So we will have A, R or B. What is B? Negation Q. And C. What is C? Negation P. So I will write this as distributive law over here. Now we can swap this, correct? We have to get this first and then get this result. So I'll just swap this for my inference. So I'll be writing it as commutative law, correct? I'm just interchanging. So now, so this is in the form of negation of P or Q, right? Negation of P or Q will be negation P and negation Q. De Morgan's law, correct? So I'll be writing this as De Morgan's law. I have been applying De Morgan's law. So haven't we got this result? It is same, right? This is what we have to get before the final result, correct? So this I can say is logically equivalent to P or Q implies R, is it not? So P or Q implies R, it means negation P or Q, right? So thus we have arrived at the conclusion. Therefore we can say it is a valid. That is a valid argument by inferencing all the rules as well as laws of logic. Okay, let's move on to the next problem. That is P implies Q, R implies S, and negation Q or negation S. Therefore negation of P and R. So now we need to test the validity of the argument. So once again, as told in the previous problem, so let's write this in terms of conjunction. So this is equal to writing it in this form: P implies Q and R implies S and negation Q or negation S, right? So we need to see whether we get this term or we get the conclusion. So this term and this term, you can observe, I am not considering these two terms because they are different set of propositions. But here when I observe, I have got Q, I have got negation Q or negation S. So what will I do is, I will turn this into implication. My main concentration is to turn this into syllogism so that it the steps becomes fast, correct? So whenever we turn implication any connectives to implication, the process will become faster. So I'll be turning this into implication, right? So how does the implication be, how does this be converted to implication? So in implication, if I write Q implies S, it will be, this is logically equivalent to negation Q or S, correct? But what do we have here? Negation Q or negation S. So if I have, let me insert negation over here. So what do we get? It is negation Q or negation S, correct? P implies Q means negation P or Q, correct? So it will be negation Q or negation S. So this term can be replaced with this, is it not? So I will be writing it is Q implies negation S. So this is as per the condition, law of conditional. Now let me combine these two terms, P implies Q and Q implies negation S and R implies S. So I am just swapping, correct? So it is, I am using commutative law. Next, you can observe it is P implies Q and Q implies R form, is it not? So this is your R now. So what is P implies Q and Q implies R? This logically implies P implies R, is it not, as per rule of syllogism? Correct? So what is P implies R? P is P itself. So P implies negation S and R implies S. So this is as per rule of syllogism. So next you can observe, you have got this, correct? So what will I do is I will interchange this so that I will get the rule of syllogism, correct? I will turn this conditional into contrapositive. Let me write, this is logically equivalent to P implies negation S and R implies S is same as negation S implies negation R, correct? It's contrapositive, I am writing it's contrapositive. So this is as per the contrapositive, right? So now this is in the form of P implies Q and Q implies R. So why I am writing it directly? Because I know what the syllogism states. This is same term, this is a different term. So what is P implies Q and Q implies R? Logically implies P implies R, right? As per rule of syllogism. So we will get P implies R. What is R? Negation R, correct? What we have to get is negation of P and R, or we have to get negation P or negation R first in order to get this term, in order to get the result, correct? So what is this equivalent to? It is equivalent to P implies Q, or P implies Q is nothing but negation P or Q. So this is what we have to get before, and then the final result you can observe. So therefore this is logically equivalent to negation of P and R, correct? So this is the conditional law, and this is nothing but your De Morgan's law. So always keep in mind that you have to keep in touch with the result, or what conclusion has to be should be obtained. Okay, you should track each time what result we have to get and where we are. So each line you need to compare. Okay, this is the result. Okay, now where I am, so what should I get before this result? So like this way you need to keep in track each step, okay, before getting the result, and after getting the result you need to match it properly with the connectives, okay, and then say, see, I have got this result, okay, the result is same, therefore I can say this is a valid argument because we have arrived at the conclusion as per the rules and laws of logic. Okay, so I hope all these problems are very clear to you. Let's take another problem. We are given a set of premises, and we are supposed to prove the conclusion R or S, right? So from this question we have got we have been given C or D as premise. We have the second premise, that is C or D implies negation H as the second premise, and the third premise followed by the last premise. We have got 4 premises, and we are supposed to prove this conclusion, that is R or S. So first of all, let's write these premises in equivalent form, that is we can write this as C or D conjunction C or D implies negation H conjunction negation H implies A and negation B conjunction A and negation B implies R or S. So we can write all these premises in terms of conjunction, right? So next how do we solve the problem? So we have written this in terms of conjunction. Now let's see what rules of inference or laws of logic can be applied. So you can observe this term is same as this particular term, right? So we can turn this into a form of a rule, right? You know, this can be taken as P and this is nothing but the same term, so I can take it as P and this is as Q. So what will happen is I get a rule in the form of P and P implies Q, which logically implies Q, right? This is as per Modus-Pon's rule. But now, moreover, you can observe this term and this term is also same. Similarly, this term and this term is same. So I can apply the rule of syllogism, right? This is like your P implies Q and this is also like Q. This is your R. So it is in the form of P implies Q and Q implies R. So which logically implies P implies R. This is as per rule of syllogism. So I can apply rule of syllogism in these two parts. The same thing I can do rule of syllogism for these two parts. So first when I apply rule of syllogism for these two terms, I will get, what will I get? This is your P, right? This is your Q. This term is your Q. And since this term is same as this term, so I will be taking it as Q itself. And this term is your R. So what will be P implies Q and Q implies R? P implies Q and Q implies R will be P implies R. So what is your P now? Negation H implies R. What is your R? R or S. So these two terms will be drastically dropped down to, say I'll write the whole term, and C or D implies negation H. This is your two terms what I have written, plus along with that the simplified form of these two terms, which is P implies R. So this was your P which I denoted, this was your Q, so this is also your Q and this is your R. So P implies Q and Q implies R will be P implies R, that is negation H implies R or S, right? So now once again you can observe, see before writing this, let me write it as a rule of syllogism, and that's why I have used rules of inference, so I will be writing it in this form. Next, how will these three terms be simplified? You can observe this term is same, similarly this term is also same. So it is in the form of P, let's take this as P, let's take this as Q. This is all the same term, so this will be Q and this is your term R. So it is in the form of P implies Q and Q implies R. So what is P implies Q and Q implies R? Logically implies P implies R, right? So I will be writing it as this is logically implies C or D is your first term and the next two terms are simplified into P implies R. So that is C or D implies R or S, right? C or D implies R or S. So this is as per rule of syllogism. Next, this you can observe this term is same as this term, so I will take it as P, this also I will take it as P and this as Q. So why I am taking this in terms of P and Q is because I have got in the rules of inference in terms of P and Q itself. So what is P and P implies Q? So this logically implies Q, this is as per Modus-Pon's, right? So what do we get? P and P implies Q as Q. So but what is Q? R or S. So I can write this logically implies R or S as per Modus-Pon's. You just verify what we have to get. We need to show this result. Yes, we have arrived at the conclusion. Therefore, we can show that R or S follows logically from these premises, right? So coming to the next question, that is we need to show that R and P or Q is a valid conclusion from the premises. We need to show that R and P or Q is a valid conclusion from the premises. First of all, we need to write this in equivalent form. So I can write it as P or Q conjunction Q implies R conjunction P implies M conjunction negation M. So now how do I solve this problem? So I have written it in equivalent form, that is in conjunction form, correct? Now what do I need to prove is R and P or Q. So we need to get this result and we need to say that it is a valid conclusion from these premises, right? So let's apply, let's try to see whether we can see, you can observe most of them are implication terms. So let's turn this term into implies term. So what will be P or Q? So you know that P implies Q is nothing but it's logically equivalent to negation P or Q, right? But what do we have here? P or Q. So let's do this. So it will be like negation of negation P, which is nothing but P or Q. Correct? So this is equivalent to writing, this is logically equivalent to negation P implies Q. See, I am turning this term or term into my implication, and Q implies R, and write as it is. Write the remaining terms as it is. Okay, this is your equivalent form of this one. So now you can observe this term now. So this is in the form of P, this is the form of Q, this is the form of Q, this is the form of R. So what is P implies Q and Q implies R? Logically implies P implies R, right? This is as per rule of syllogism. So see, I have already explained in my previous presentations as to how do you take in which kind of proposition. See, why have I taken this as P, why I have taken this as Q, and why I have taken this as R. So in my previous presentations, in all those problems, I have explained in detail regarding this process. So now, so this is P, this is your Q, and since I am having this rule of syllogism, these two terms are simplified to P implies R. So what is in place of P? Negation P. So we will have negation P implies R. And write remaining terms as it is. So but please mention the rule name as and when you have used in each line. So this particular rule name is rule of syllogism, and that's why I have written here logically implies. So next, how do you simplify this term, and how do you get this term from this? Okay, so now first let's try to simplify the term. So do you have any kind of rule related to this and this? Even though you swap this, negation M implies negation P, you get negation M implies R, right? You can do that step, that is, I will turn this into contrapositive. If I turn this contrapositive, I can combine these two terms using rule of syllogism. So how do I do it is, see, the way you have to solve the problem is just only through ideas. And see, how do I do this is, I will write the first term as it is, negation P implies R, and so this P implies M term is converted into contrapositive. What is the contrapositive? P implies M, negation M implies negation P, right? And the third term is this one, negation M. So now you can observe this term is same, this term is same. So I will be swapping these two terms in order to get the rule of syllogism. So since I am using the commutation law, so this is nothing but your contrapositive. In this line I will be commutating, that is, I will be using commutated law. I am swapping these two terms. So I will be getting negation M implies negation P, and negation P implies R, and negation M, right? I just swapped, exchanged these two terms. Now I can observe this is in the form, this will be Q, P implies Q, and Q implies R. See, these two terms are same, so I am taking the same representation. So I will be using the same representation as per the rules of inference. So you know that P implies Q and Q implies R logically implies P implies R. But what is there in place of P? See, I am writing logically implies. What is there in place of P? Negation M. So it will be in the form of negation M implies R, right? So P implies Q and Q implies R is nothing but P implies R as per rule of syllogism. So please mention the rule name, this rule of syllogism. Next, so what form is this now? This is why this looks like P and P implies Q, is it not? This term is same, this term is same. So what is P and P implies Q? Do you have any rules of inference? Yes, This is nothing but logically implies Q. This is nothing but your Modus-Pon's rule. So here in place of Q, you have got R, right? So this logically implies R. This is as per Modus-Pon's rule. But now we have arrived at the end. But see what you have to get. So you should get R and P or Q. But how do you get R and P or Q? So you can observe you have got R. So how can you extend this into this R and P or Q? So do you have any rules of inference wherein you can turn this in R into R and P or Q? You already know that as per rule of just observe the rules of inference. You can tell it very easily. See, let me show you the rules of inference once again. So you have got these rules. P and Q logically implies P, which is nothing but your conjunctive simplification, and P logically implies P or Q. Right? Just observe these two rules, first two rules. What form have you got? You have got just R, right? You can extend R into R or some term, correct? But since you know that you cannot apply any rule further. See, why? Because your term is just R itself. You can turn into R or some other proposition, but you cannot do anything else apart from that, right? So you don't have any rules of inference that will turn this term into something conjunction another term. But you already know that P or Q is a premise, right? And premises are taken to be true. So whenever premises are taken to be true, so this you can turn this into this R and P or Q. That is, I can say that since P or Q is a premise and it is true, so basically R and tautology, if I take, so this you have proved that R is also true, correct? So you can say that, see, I can write it in this way, R and P or Q, we can arrive at R and P or Q, since P or Q is a premise, and we have shown that premise is already true, right? So when we have also proved that this is true, and this is also, we have arrived at P or Q is true, right? Since it is a premise, premises are always taken to be true. So when this is true, and we have already got this, obviously this conjunction is also true. That means from R we can get R and P or Q. This is because this premise is taken to be true, right? We have got this premise, and using this premises only we have obtained R, right? And R, anything, since we have proved this term also, anything combined with this premise is taken to be true. That means we can get this conclusion. Therefore, it is a valid conclusion.